Are you using YouTube or Zoom to view it?
It's a Zoom.
Yes, okay.
I'm using Zoom.
Dr. Timonga, can you see it?
I can see the screen, yes. Startup Park avocado farming is in green and there are people on the other side, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it, and the tree on the other side.
Okay, so Engineer Kanowa, do you have your slides there? You can just look at your screen and talk through your slides, and I'll be clicking through on my side.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. My apologies for starting the presentation a bit late. I am going to take you through a presentation on grafting avocado as a main presentation, but I am attempted to talk about many more issues around grafting, which includes the nursery preparation and a bit of field preparation. But I know that the main topic today is grafting, but there's always it is always tempting to talk about a little more than grafting, just to put things in perspective. My name is Engineer Eng Kanowa, and I am a civil engineer, but I am also an enthusiast of environmental management and thus the interest in the growing of avocado. The pictures you are seeing there, I just want to talk a little bit about the pictures you are seeing there. A picture on the left where there are people and like a shade net and the like. I just want to share with you that avocado is extremely dear, I think, for many people now in Zambia. This is a picture taken 3 days ago in Bubi district, where one of the cooperatives has about 40,000 seedlings of avocado. And those are the farmers that were invited to collect their share to go and plant their field. I am informed that there were more than 100 farmers that came to pick their avocado seedlings to go and plant. Half of the seedlings were grafted by the local villagers in Bubi district. Half of them were still not grafted because of sources. They opted to plant and grafted the plants. The picture on top, which is on top of the written startup pack to avocado farming, is just a picture of grafting which has gone wrong. And normally you see this when you have a grafting which has gone wrong. You'll find that where there's a graft union, the plant will show some kind of bulging, and you don't want that to happen to your avocado, because that becomes the weak point. So in confirming that picture of Bubi district is a second picture showing you the farmers collecting these plants one by one on their motorbikes. Each farmer was given any number between 10 to about 50 avocados to go and plant in the field. Why I am interested to show you this is just to underscore that the grafting of avocado is a very, very simple undertaking. But if you don't have the basics on grafting, it may seem to be a very difficult undertaking. But if we can have people who have not been to formal school be able to achieve grafting, then everybody else can manage to do grafting. One most interesting question that you normally get from people who haven't attempted to plant avocado, when you ask them to say, why are you not engaged in growing avocado? The answer to that question is normally the same with people who have very little idea about avocado. One answer would be, it takes about 12, sometimes 15 years, or sometimes a plant never fruits at all. It takes that long for the plant to give you fruits. And who would want to go into such kind of a business to plant a tree today and wait for 10, 12 years for the plant to give the fruits? Grafting is a bridge to that question, because when you do the grafting of avocado plants, you can harvest within 3 years of planting. So again, that is a picture which was taken about 2-3 days ago in Bubi district, where the cooperative was sharing the the avocado seedlings. Now, I am going to talk a little bit about the brief history about grafting, the motivation to grow avocado, then also growing avocado from seed. But I will spend a little more time to talk about grafting because that is the main topic of this presentation. Then I will not talk about site selection for layout and irrigation, but we'll go to question and answer, mainly on grafting. But this slide gives you a little bit of information on site selection and also irrigation needs and layout. I know this is a very long topic, especially on irrigation. It is not part of the presentation today. Today's presentation, I am going to stick to the topic of grafting, but I am going to just kickstart with a little bit of a background to that effect. So in the motivation to talk about avocado in the first place is that on the Zambian market, avocado
Engineer Kanowa, yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Have I lost you? Okay. On the Zambian market, essentially, people buy avocado from farmers anything between 2 kwacha to 10 kwacha. And if you go to the shops or to the market or to Soweto market, you get avocado anywhere between 8 kwacha to 25 kwacha avocado fruit. And as a Lusaka Avocado Cooperative, we have a lot of prospecting buyers of avocado. And I think the fear that we have today as Lusaka Avocado Cooperative Union is that we may not meet the demand of the buyers for avocado and related products. Of course, we need to have processing plants because not all the avocado may be shelf quality, and therefore we need to process the avocado fruits in order to have value on every harvest from the farmers. I think the Avocado Cooperative Union or the Lusaka Avocado Cooperative Union, Cooperative, Multipurpose Cooperative Society has a plan to come up with the processing plants for avocado products. And this is an open market for avocado growers. So those of you who are joining us, you must not get distracted to say, where is the market for avocado? We want to assure you as an avocado cooperative that would be able to have the market for shelf quality avocado, and also the avocado that does not meet shelf quality could be processed in other avocado products, perhaps like avocado oil and the like. In terms of nutrition, I think avocado is one of the fruits that is extremely recommended as a very nutritious fruit. Again, you want to take time to read through about what you can do with avocado. When it comes to what is happening globally with regards to climate change is as huge and humongous as it is. I think the solution lies in us. Climate change is just a built environment going wrong. And it has gone wrong because our emissions have outstripped the ability of the environment to be able to clean out what is contaminating the environment. And the cleaning out is mainly done by vegetation.
Engineer Kanowa?
Production around the world. Yes, please.
Could you just repeat the last sentence? You seemed to have faded off for a bit.
Oh, okay. The issue of climate change, I was just relating climate change to planting of avocado. is that climate change, as big as the statement is, we can find our space in trying to correct that situation, because climate change is basically the built environment going wrong, where we have an emission outstripping the ability to clean out, our emissions. And the plants are a good factor in the process to clean out, these contaminants or maybe the greenhouse gases. And if we are going to advocate growing avocado, we are just increasing the carbon sink footprint throughout, our country. And we can also enjoy localized benefits such as groundwater recharge by increasing the coverage of trees around the country. So again, avocado double trick, because whilst it provides nutrition on one side, it will be able to provide for climate management. Factors of production in Zambia, we have plenty production of avocado. You realize that we have good climate, we have good rainfall pattern. Of course, avocados require watering throughout the year, but almost everywhere in Zambia, you can find groundwater if you don't find surface water. So water is readily available in most areas. It's a few places where you find saline water, which is not good for any crop in terms of irrigation. That is water which is salty. But these are selected areas, especially those areas that are very close to very large rivers and the like. But most of the groundwater in Zambia is fresh water, and therefore we have a lot of factors of production around the avocado plant production. In certain areas, you may need to modify or maybe treat the soil. It could be slightly acidic, and therefore you have to neutralize it to somewhere neutral for the avocado to grow. But these are minor adjustments that you need to do in Zambia in order to produce or to grow avocado. I want to talk about the issues of buying Zambian products. Again, it is immoral as Zambians to be importing tropical fruits or tropical fruit products when we can grow these tropical fruits. And I think it's a challenge to all of us, beyond perhaps this group, that we need to challenge ourselves to be able to produce what can grow in a tropical or subtropical area like Zambia. And therefore, we must not allow importation of any products that can grow in Zambia, avocado inclusive. And when we do so, of course, we'll farm ourselves out of poverty. Those pictures there, I just want to underscore the interest that we have undertaken as Lusaka.
Yes, sir. Apologies. I think a call must have come through. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Okay. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that is myself planting a tree at Chief Mukanta's palace, just to attract the attention of the local people in Kawambwa to plant avocado. That's a grafted plant. But I just want to show you on the left top is a pricing of avocado, which is 21 kwacha, Zambian kwacha, the avocado. And somewhere in Europe, the same avocado is going for £1.75. And if you converted that to Zambian kwacha, you realize that you are talking about more than 30 kwacha per one avocado. And then if we were to export that to Europe, definitely you are talking about not less than 5 kwacha per avocado. On the bottom left is just to show it, to underscore what else you can do on the avocado. You can produce soap, hair shampoo, air conditioned, lotions, and many more that can be produced from avocado. The next slide, I just want to just now start getting to planting avocado from seed, because when we talk about grafting, we are talking about connecting the two plants together in order to come up with one variety that you're looking for. And before we do the grafting, you need to have what we call a rootstock. Basically, a rootstock is an avocado that you plant using a seed. And again, I just want to use practical examples. The pictures that you are seeing there is a project that I am working with in Vubi district. The pictures on top is a planting of a seed. The first picture on the top left, the local farmers in Vubi are cleaning the seed, what we call cleaning the seed, just removing that small skin of the seed so that the seed will germinate quicker. And sometimes you can plant the seed directly into the grow bag, but sometimes you want to just plant them on the ground. When they show signs of germinating, then you pick them up and plant them in the grow bag for better management. On the bottom left, people, including young children, getting interested there to fill the grow bag with the soil. But on the bottom right is a farmer. I think the farmer somewhere in Mumbai who is doing avocado seedlings. And this farmer is doing 50,000, 100,000 of avocado seedlings. So in terms of preparing the seed into the grow bags, first of all, of course, you need to prepare the grow bags. It can be any container, but the bigger the container, the better, because the bigger the container, you get more root development. Root development becomes very good. So normally we recommend anything 6 liters to 8 liters, 10 liters on the safer side. Smaller containers, they restrict root growth. And therefore, when you get the plant which has restricted root growth and plant in the field, you realize that it takes a little longer to be able to grow very quickly, because the roots, the bigger the roots, the bigger would be the plant itself. Depending on the soil, you want to add 1:1. That is a normal soil at the ratio 1:1. Normal soil and sand, just a building sand. Building sand and normal soil. You want to add 1:1. Sometimes you can add 1:2, or 1:3. You can also add the decomposed manure. To the soil and mix them together and put them in the grow bag. So essentially, you need a well-drained media. Loam soil, sandy loam, clay loam. Clay loam may be too hard, but I think loam soil and sandy loam would be extremely ideal. Normally, you want to grow the seedlings in the shade net to be able to manage the light. You put a shade net around your nursery. And when grafting, you want to, if you have resources, you can use a greenhouse. But if you don't have resources, you may want to just graft and put under a shade. It will still give you good success rate. Again, the seed coat that I'm talking about, you remove the seed coat. You have to note the orientation of the seed, because when you are planting this seed, there's a direction, there's a seed at the bottom part of the seed where it is normally flat, where the roots come from. The top part, which is a bit sharpened, that's where the shoot comes from. So when you put it upside down, it may grow, but the chances are very slim. So you don't want to do that when you are doing commercial farming. You want to be sure that the seed is going to grow. You have to manage pests and diseases. And I think the most disease that you get in avocado is mainly related to, you have many diseases, but one of them is a fungal disease. So you need to prevent the fungal infection. You need to prevent the pest from attacking your seedlings. You have to keep the grow bags moist. It has to be moisture, but not waterlogged, because when the grow bag is waterlogged, you get the roots to rot, and you may not be able to grow the seedlings, because these are seedlings that you are going to use as rootstock for grafting. you have to manage multiple shoots. Sometimes you see when you plant one seed, you have three shoots that comes up, or 4 shoots that come up. If you leave those roots, I mean, if you leave those shoots without managing them, they will grow, but they'll be too thin to be grafted. So you want to maybe select one which is a little thicker and cut the other one so that you only remain one shoot from one seed and you graft that one. When it reaches pencil size, sometimes 2 months or so, it is ready for grafting. Pencil size is a good size for grafting. I have seen in some other videos, or practically, even before it reaches pencil size, you do the grafting, but pencil size has got a lot of advantages, because even holding it, you'll be able to hold it properly when grafting. The size of the scions also, you'll be able to easily find the size of the scions to be able to do the grafting. Then the other thing is that the grow bags must not be waterlogged. The next slide there shows you what I've been talking about, how to plant the seed. The top part, those spaces the top, and the bottom part is where the seed is going to, where the roots are going to come from. So just to illustrate what that is, in the bottle, on the bottom left, there's a bottle. You can grow the seed using just a bottle suspended with the toothpicks into the bottle, and you have the seed germinating. The next picture to that shows a seed in a grow bag, and it's just about to germinate. So this is the way you plant the seed. What is extremely important to note there is that in the grow bag, especially, is that the seed is not buried in the soil. Just using a rule of thumb, 3/4 of the seed, 3/4 of the length of the seed should be in the soil, then 1/4 exposed to the top outside. But you have to make sure that you remove the seed coat. Seed coat, if you look at the picture on the top right, where there are roots coming out, you realize that the seed hasn't got the seed coat, and that's how the seed should be. You remove the seed coat completely, and you plant that seed in a grow bag. The next slide just shows you some of the things that we have been doing, and also some other farmers that have been doing. The far left is just the fully grown avocado somewhere. All these so you can imagine, if you just count these fruits, this is a very good production tree. And therefore, you don't want to miss to have such a tree in your farm. And you want to get scions from such a tree, because if you get a scion from such a tree and graft it on any avocado, rootstock, you will get exactly the replica of that plant. The second picture in the middle just shows you what you can use to grow your seedlings. You must not be limited buying the grow bag from polythene products or from livestock services, which may be a little bit expensive, but you can use empty cement bags. You can use any container, for as long as it gives you a good root development. 4 liters would be on a minimum size. 6 liters, almost average. 8 liters of a container, almost good. Yeah, 10 liters would be extremely perfect. So those are some of the sizes that you may want to go for. On the far left, on the far right, it is interesting that I found people. I found people getting in the compounds. They're getting what you call the rubbish pit. Yeah, the rubbish pit that has decomposed, and cleaning it up and getting the soil, sieving it, the bottles, the stones, and the like, and they are selling good soil for potting, for use in grow bags. I once bought this soil and used it for growing avocados, and they did pretty good, similar to the ones that I used to get just a normal soil, sand plus a bit of manure. I think the result was almost the same, but of course you need to do disinfection and all the kind of thing to ensure that you don't have especially when commercial farming. Now, the next slide just goes to show you that grafting is as good as the picture that you can see. Here we are not talking about grafting avocado for now, but it's just grafting in general. It can be used, to get the best plant from the opportunity. If you have a plant that is productive, you want to replicate that plant. On the left, you can see the apple and grow green apples and red apples on a single tree by grafting. The mid picture is showing you an ornamental kind of grafted plants. Again, on the left is a flower.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, the skill of grafting started way long time ago, and we are only perfecting the art. So let us look at grafting now, having digressed a little bit, just to give this background. Let us look at the grafting. Is that grafting started a long time ago, 500 in China, was to overcome soil and so that especially in commercial production, you want to be extremely certain that what you are planting is going to give you what you want. So you have plants and be able to satisfy the market that you are looking. In circumstances that the taste of the market changes, today we are talking about Hass avocado commanding almost 80-85% of world avocado. Suppose the taste goes to Pinkerton. You can change the whole orchard from Hass to Pinkerton by regrafting the old trees. This is how interesting grafting is. So this can be done. Grafting has also been used for aesthetic purpose, like the pictures that I've shown you above. When you want to improve your garden, you want grafting, because you'll be able to select which plants you want, to emerge from your flower garden. With regards to avocado, some scholars have done experiments, and what they are saying is that out of 1,000 seeds of avocado gotten from one tree, the chances of getting the replica of the mother plant is almost 1% or less. Otherwise, it's about 2-3 seeds out of 1,000 that can be exactly the replica of the parent plant. Now, if you are going to go commercial, you don't want that kind of a ratio. You want to be sure. So you want to make exact copy of the superior cultivar that you are looking for. If you are looking for Hass, you plant Hass, 1 seed, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, perhaps at most out of 1,000 seeds will be Hass. The rest will be something else. That's what avocado is. And therefore, you want to be sure that you are growing avocado. Those of you who have planted seedlings, I think you have gone to city market buy your seedlings. You absolutely have no idea whether that plant is Hass or it is Pinkerton or local variety. You just see that it looks like an avocado seed and you plant. Almost all of us are doing that. So to be sure that this variety is what we're looking for, grafting does the trick, because you'll be able to select the scions that you plant, and the scions that you use for grafting, and therefore you'll be able to be sure that it has other. It also involves the grafting of the connection of rootstock. Now we are going to start using the term. The grafting involves connecting a rootstock and a scion, or scion wood, or the bud. The rootstock is the plant that you have in your grow bag. The plant that you planted from seed. That is what is called rootstock. And the reason why it is called rootstock is that you are exploiting its potential. We have to reach an extent in Zambia. It is not yet there to even identify the local variety that gives a best rootstock. I was surprised a few months ago. I went to Kawambwa. Along the way, I found an avocado tree growing in a flooded area. And what we know from literature about avocado is that it can't grow in a flooded place. But we found avocado trees growing in flooded areas. So those are some of the potential plants that we could exploit to be our rootstock here in Zambia. I think we need to do this kind of a research in Zambia. But essentially, a rootstock is exploited for its root potential. And essentially, when you have a vigor plant in terms of root development, it goes without saying that those roots will be able to feed the plant will also grow bigger, and it will be productive. Then the part that you are going to introduce on the rootstock, it's called a scion. So the top part, where you see some hands, somebody holding, a rootstock and a scion, that is what that's how you cut your plants in order to do the grafting. But we'll go into detail and look at how that is done. The picture below just shows you the top part is a rootstock. The top part is a scion. The bottom part is a rootstock. You cut it in a manner that you'll be able to connect it easily and be able to tie, and you'll be able to align the cambium layer. Now, again, we'll talk about that in a little detail as we go, but just look at those pictures as we go. What I want you to remember is that the plant that you are introducing on the rootstock is called a scion, and the plant that you are exploiting its root potential is called rootstock. So this is subsequently, I will be referring to these terms, scion and rootstock. So the scion is basically derived from French word "scion," which means a shoot or twig or offspring. So let us look at grafting. It is a form of vegetative or asexual propagation of ornamental plants and vegetables. This is by forcing the union of two plants by joining the rootstock, the scion wood. So the small picture on the right shows you the cross section of both the scion and the rootstock. So what is important to note there is that we have the bark. If you cut across a scion or a rootstock, just cut in between, longitudinal, in between. That is what we are going to cut from top to bottom. That is what we are going to see. We are going to see the bark, and we are going to see what we call a cambium layer. Essentially, you are going to see three distinct layers. You are going to see the bark, you are going to see a small layer in between, and you are going to see a layer which is a heartwood in between. Now, these three layers would have to be aligned, but much more, we have to align the cambium layer of the rootstock and the scion. When the cambium layer has been aligned, we don't align the bark, we don't align the heartwood in between, but we align the cambium layer. So in order to do it right, you have to iterate several times. You'll be able to get it right. And the simplest way of ensuring that you align the rootstock and the scion is ensuring that the diameter of the rootstock and the diameter of the scion are the same. That's the simplest way you can. So when you are choosing a scion to use on the rootstock, you are going to look at the size and be able to ensure, and you are going to be sure that when you cut the scion and the rootstock, be able to graft, the cambium layer will be aligned by virtue of aligning the back of both the rootstock and the scion. So the successful grafting happens on the same species or close related plants. For example, Hass avocado and the local variety avocado can be grafted. Pinkerton avocado and the Hass avocado can be grafted. Apple tree, apple and mulberry, it's the same family. you can graft that plant. Maybe tomato and potato, Irish potato. That plant, those plants are in the same family. You can easily graft that. You cannot graft a guava and avocado because they are not of the same family. There are attempts, however, in these experiments where people have grafted plants that are not related, but it's a 1 to 1,000, 1 to 2,000, 1 to 5,000, 1 million chances of getting it right. And therefore, if you want to have a successful graft, one of the things that you must ensure is that the plants have to be of same species or closely related. So you also have to ensure that the characteristics for which the variety is selected, such as better fruit quality, desirable form, if it is flowers or foliage or resistance to pests and diseases, must be considered. Why are we grafting? We are grafting avocado for many reasons, but one of the reasons is because we want to have the best production out of the opportunity. So you are going to get a rootstock that you have planted and look around for the tree that is extremely productive and use the scion from there to graft your rootstock. So the picture below on the left just underscores the need for alignment. So you have a perfect alignment, which normally doesn't happen. Yeah. No, it can happen, but it's not like obvious. You need to grow a skill. You need to be very observant. But if you align the cambium layer of the scion and the rootstock, the chances of that plant, all the other things being equal, you corrected the scion is not wilted, you corrected it at the right time, all the other things put in place, you are sure that you can get 100% success rate. I have personally tried this before. I have got 5% success, and I have also got 94% success. And the longer I do grafting, the better I therefore become. Sometimes you can have inadequate alignment. You have a little bit of success. Your success rate may go low. But when you have poor alignment, the chances of aligning, the chances of success are almost zero. Next slide is just to underscore why we should not, why not from seed? We plant the rootstock using seed, but why don't we just allow plant to grow from seed? I've mentioned we cannot tell the variety, and so we want to be sure. Plants produced from seeds differ in productivity, foliage, vigor, and taste. Because by the time you realize that the plant, the avocado you have planted is not hers, you would have waited for 8 years minimum, to 10 years, maybe 12 years. You don't want that to happen. What you want to have is an exactly copy of the superior plant that you have in your neighborhood, somewhere else where you can get it. You want a replica of that. So you cut, you do the cuttings, get the cuttings from there, and you graft or bud your plants, your avocado. This improves resistance to diseases and pests. And this part is extremely interesting. I have a nursery today where one part, a nursery which is like Chiwombo. I planted a few in Chiwombo district. I have almost 6,000, avocado plants, and 4,000 are grafted. 2,000 are not grafted. There was a delay in managing, pests. And what is interesting is that the ones which are not grafted are actually attacked easily than the ones that are grafted. This is extremely very visible. When you graft two plants, when you graft a plant, you increase or you improve the resistance to diseases and pests. And this is extremely required if you want to go commercial because you want to spend less on diseases and pests. From seed, plants often take longer to fruit. And when you graft, you are actually short-circuiting the process. When you plant a rootstock, when it is about 2-3 months, you get a scion, preferably from a plant which is not less than 5 years old, and which you know and you have seen that it's extremely productive, it's disease-free, and you collect the scion at the right time. You graft the rootstock, which is 2-3 months old. Immediately it shoots. What happens is that the plant thinks it is 10 years old. What will limit that plant from being productive is its ability to feed the fruits. Well, once you now concentrate on feeding that plant to grow the roots in the field, vigor enough to be able to produce to produce or to collect enough nutrients from the ground, then the plant will start fruiting. Normally, a good grafted plant would start giving fruits within 2 years. But by the 3rd year, you must be able to get not less than 10% of a fully grown tree in terms of production. So already within 2 to 3 years, you must start harvesting. When you get to 4 years, definitely you must be getting closer to 25-30%. 5 years, you must be hitting close to 50% or more. I was just seeing one plant posted on the platform, or posted to me from one of our members of Lusaka Avocado Cooperative, a 3-year plant grafted from Engineer Multipurpose's farm is about 3 meters high. So you can see such a plant is extremely looked after very well, and it should be able to give you not less than 40% of full production of a fully grown tree. I have visited one farmer from within Zambia here, in Chongwe. She has trees which are 7 to about 9 years old. One tree is producing grade A fruits per year. Is producing 1,000. The grade A 1,000, and this is one of the farmers that are selling the fruits to Freshmark, that is buying on behalf of the chain stores. And she tells me that she sells one avocado for 7 kwacha. So which means that one tree a year gives her 7,000 kwacha. And she only has 3 trees that she is able to look after very well. And every year she gets 21,000 kwacha from the 3 trees. So this is how lucrative the business is. I know that when you go to city market today, you find avocado rotting, and sometimes you are discouraged to say, no, avocados are rotting on the market, and why should I go into this production? It's because we don't have an organized arrangement to be able to get all these avocados in one place and be able to add value to these avocados. So this is what we are also doing as Lusaka Avocado Cooperative, to be able to collect all these avocados that are going to waste. At least people should not lose completely, but they can also sell for the purpose of extracting oil from avocado. But the more we produce, the more opportunities we are going to have. So that's the issue. The last one is just the combination of multiple cultivar for the variety or for aesthetic purpose. So that's another reason why people want to graft. You can graft one plant, avocado, you can have Hass, you can have Pinkerton, you can have Fuete from one tree. You just graft different variety. If you are in the urban areas where you cannot grow more than one tree around your place, but you want all these varieties, you can do the grafting and be able to get all the varieties that you are looking for. Even other fruits like mango. You want big mango, you want the small mango, you want the other varieties of mangoes, you can get them from one tree. So grafting does the trick. The next slide just goes to show you how you select your rootstock. Again, it's a very important procedure. It's a very important arrangement, but I must be quick to mention that in Zambia, we are yet to do quite a number of experiments to be able to get it right. Normally, we exploit the rootstock for the goodness of the roots themselves. For avocado, you want the rootstock that is a bit more resistant to soil-borne diseases and fungus, or such as fungus and nematodes, and the different types of soils that we have. We have soils that are a little bit aggressive. We have a little drought-tolerant roots, and also those that can go in waterlogging areas. Like what I saw in Kawambwa. It is unfortunate that most of the literature that we are using on avocado growing is from elsewhere. Otherwise, we need to grow our own literature. Now that we are getting more organized as a cooperative, we may want to exploit, coming up with our own information so that we don't talk about winter, autumn, and whatever, those seasons that are not there because they are found in the text that we are using. But we can use our own, seasons. We can use our own climate. We can use our own soils and the other issues that emanate out of it. But for now, what we have to know is that we are exploiting the rootstock because of the issue of being resistant or tolerant to certain issues like waterborne diseases or soil-borne diseases, soil-borne diseases and also waterlogging. So once compatibility has been considered, the rootstock can be chosen and independently from the scion to suit the planting site. This goes beyond the planting of avocado. For now, without proper research on which rootstock from the local variety would be best, I think using the rule of the thumb, any plant that can grow, that has grown in country, could use as rootstock. But within that, there are other plants that have got definitely better rootstock if we do research. There are some people who have done the local research. They would get a seed and grow in a grow bag. After 2 months, they wash the plant, remove, and just see how the roots are growing and be able to tell. But now the issue is that you go to city market to buy the seed, not to know which plant this is coming from. So as we are growing the industry, there's need for us to do that kind of research. In terms of selection of the scion, first of all, you look at the preferred variety or species, look at the disease-free tree. The pencil size, should be one small indicator of the suitable size of the scion that you are going to see. You are going to use at least the scion must be 1 year old. A scion must be 1 year old. So which means that you get scion at the tip of the plant, but it must be a scion that is fully grown, not very jelly. So when you cut the scion, you must be able to see a whitish layer inside when you cut a cross section, like the picture which is on the top left. When you cut the scion like that, you must be able to see the center is white. It's not jelly green. Yeah, because if it is jelly and it's greenish, it may hold, but it's not the best scion. So the scion must be at least 1 year. And it needs to have tight buds. Tight buds are the eyes where the shoots are going to come from. It must be showing signs of slightly opening, but not fully open. But it must be slight, like what you are seeing in the picture. That looks, the picture on the top left, this is extremely good scion. It's extremely good scion to use. And so you have to pluck off the leaves. The reason why you pluck off the leaves is to reduce trans evaporation, because when you have cut the scion from a tree, it loses its ability to be fed because you have cut it from its source of food, water, and nutrients. And for the period before it it holds on the rootstock, it will depend on itself to keep itself moist. So you need to ensure that you remove the leaves, because the leaves increase the surface area for trans evaporation, and you don't want that to happen on the scion. So you remove all. Then it should also not have side limbs like what we are seeing on top. It's just one stick. That's one scion. And the best is to collect scion on the same day, but you can store scions even up to 3 months, but maintain the temperature. Maintain the temperature of 10 degrees. I hope I've not lost the audience. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The storage you must store in a cool place. But many of these facilities may not be there. We are grafting plants all the way in Vubwi, and we don't have facility to control the temperature. So normally what we do is you get an old blanket. An old blanket, cut it, wrap the scions, maybe 100 scions in one set, wrap it in a wet blanket and put it in a plastic and put it in a sack. Put a lot of that if you have 1,000 scions, and that's how we transport that by any means of transport all the way to Vubwi. It takes 1 day. So the same day, day 1, we cut the scions. Day 2, we transport the scions. Day 3, they start grafting. But even when the scions have reached the site, you have to keep them in cool places. Many things that people do under a very heavy canopy of a tree, but put a lot of blankets or sacks on top and make sure that it's always moist. In that way, you can keep scions for even up to a week without proper even regulating. Some people I've seen, they dig a hole underground, they bury the scions underground, water that place so that keeping cool under the shade, and you get your temperatures around the 15, 18 degrees. You can keep your scions for a few days, 1 week, perhaps 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You will still be using. Practically, this has happened. But if you have controlled temperature, you can keep these scions for 2 months or more, and possible you can use them for grafting later on. The pictures on the right, on the bottom, you see somebody holding some fingers holding a scion. It is just to try and compare the size of the scion and the rootstock. And normally this is what you do when you look at the rootstock. You look on the hip of your scions, you select a scion which is the same size, and you graft the rootstock and the scion to the rootstock. The next slide just shows you the materials. Now, I want to underscore that the topic of grafting is extremely practical. The topic of grafting is extremely practical. What I'm giving you is perhaps 20% of what you should know, but I will try to elaborate as much as possible and be able to share with you videos that you can watch and try it yourself. Once you try once, twice, 3 times, you will see how easy grafting. Those who have done grafting would agree with me that anyone can do grafting. Anyone can do grafting. Sometimes you don't even need these complicated tools that I am about to show you. People have used improvised tools, but if you want to do it perfectly well, you want to do it faster, you want to get appropriate tools. And therefore, the tools and materials that you can use for grafting is one, you need a cutting tool. A cutting tool is anything like a scissors, looking like a scissors, that can be used for cutting. I think there is one showing on the mid right. It's a tool with a red handle and a spring in between. That is a cutter that is used for cutting. The reason why you want to use a cutter is you want to have a clean cut. You don't want to cut and be able to peel off the cover of the back of the rootstock or the back of the scion. You don't want that to happen, because if that happens, then you are going to impair the grafting itself, because it will be exposed and it may dry up. So you have a cutter, but you can also have a grafting tool, which is quite multi-purpose. On the bottom right is a grafting tool. This is a grafting tool that can cut shapes of the scions and shape of the rootstock in a manner that it fits very well, and it's easy to align the cambium layer when you do that. If you see the pictures on top, the top left, where it says slot graft, that is that kind of a cutting. You cannot do it with any other apart from grafting tool, because you can see the distinct, the way the shape is coming. Even the omega graft, you cannot do it without a tool. Normally, in avocado, we don't encourage budding, but we encourage grafting. So the two, slot graft or omega graft, is the shapes that you may get depending on the type of grafting tool that you have, or the piece that you've added on the grafting tool, because you can change pieces to change the shape, and you should be able to get the shape that you are looking for. You can also use a surgical blade. You can use a surgical blade, you can use an ordinary razor blade, or you can use a sharp knife to be able to shape both the scion and the rootstock in the circumstances that you don't have a grafting tool. You also have to have a tool. And when I was being taught how to graft, and I was wondering why Mr. Choa, who taught me how to graft, emphasized to have a comfortable stool. And I was like, why this man is talking about a comfortable stool, just like this grafting? Until I did the grafting myself, because once you start grafting, you don't want to walk out from there, go to have a meal, go to do this, go to do that. Because when you go out of the grafting place and come back, you need to sanitize yourself. And that is very cumbersome. So you want to sit where you sit permanently for an hour, 2, 3, or 4, without even any movement. So you need a very comfortable sitting, because you are going to sit for quite a long time, and a small table, sizable enough so that you are not stressed. You need the methylated spirit, or sometimes people use aloe vera. This is for disinfection of hands, your tools, and to ensure that you don't introduce diseases when you do the grafting. So you don't want that to happen. And you need sometimes you need the plastic bags to cover the scion. But if you are going to use a grafting tape, you tie the graft union. The graft union is the point in between where you join the scion and the rootstock. Is called a graft union. So to tie the graft union, like the way you bandage, or when you broken and want to align on the bone which has broken so that it heals. That's what happens with the grafting. So you want to use a tape to be able to align cambium layer of the scion and rootstock. So you use a grafting tape. Now, the best grafting tape that you are going to use is the ones that you buy. It's a paraffin you buy. I think you can see the box of paraffin there. It's a white tape. It's just looking like a normal masking tape, but it's called a grafting tape. This is the best you can get so far on the market, because this tape is biodegradable. I think that's the main feature that I like. It's biodegradable, and it is sticky side. It has a one sticky side, so that when you tie it, it sticks to itself and be able to cover the plant completely. You want to cover the scion completely so that you can reduce the transevaporation, and you want to cover the graft union so that it is tight together. The cambium layer is together and is tightly fitting together so that it can start healing. So that's the reason why we use a grafting. So the grafting tape starts from where the cutting is all the way right up to the top of the scion. So you don't want the scion to be too long. Again, you don't want the scion to be too short. Ideally, if you can have 1, 2, 3 of eyes on eyes is a part where the shoot is going to come from. That is enough for the scion. But all the eyes have to be covered. In the absence of the grafting tape, you can use an improvised plastic. Normally, what I use myself is a very thin plastic, very thin plastic. You can get this plastic from anywhere, very thin plastic, and you wrap it around. You just cut it in form of strands and wrap it around. I will share with you one small video after this. I'll share it on the group just to show you one of the grafting I was doing somewhere. And maybe at that point, we can open up a question and answer session. Sometimes you want to reduce diseases, not diseases, you want to reduce the chance of operation on the scion. You tint the scion or the grafted plant, you paint it with PVA paint. Don't use oil paint. Always use PVA paint. If you use oil paint, it will actually react with the rootstock, and the rootstock will completely dry. So use PVA paint to paint. But again, if you are resource constrained, maybe painting, you may not paint, the graft. But what I've noticed is that when you do the painting, you increase the chances of success of your grafting, because the plant becomes less stressed when you graft and you paint the rootstock and to just keep it moist. Now, there are many types of grafting styles that you can do. The first top left is called the splice and whip graft. It's just where you chamfer the scion, you chamfer the rootstock and connect them as shown on the picture. Then the top left, the top right is whip and tongue. It's similar to whip and slice and whip, but there is a tongue in between. If you see where it says B, there's a small tongue there which has been introduced, and on B, on the scion, there's a small tongue which has been introduced. Now, when you do the grafting, you just increase the chances of aligning the cambium layer. That's the whole tricky part. Just increase the chances of aligning the cambium layer, because once proportion with the cambium layer aligned, then you'll be able to get your grafting done properly. Then whip and tongue of a smaller scion. Now, the one on the top left, on bottom left, which is whip and tongue graft of a smaller scion on the larger rootstock. Remember what I said in the beginning, that the best way to align the cambium layer is to get the same diameter, size, pencil size or thereabout of the scion and the rootstock. But there are cases where you want to change the variety of the plant. You have Pinkerton and you want to change to Hass. You realize the rootstock the diameter will be so big as compared to your scion. But there are many cases that you can get like that. It's very difficult to just get a scion which is exactly the same with the rootstock. So there are those kind of grafting that you use. So you use a whip and tongue graft of the smaller scion on the larger rootstock. So you graft it on the side. But the tricky thing on this one is just to ensure that you align the cambium layer. You are not aligning the back, you are not aligning the soft part, the wood part in between, but you are aligning the cambium layer, which sits in between the wood and the back. And also you have also the back graft, which you can also use, and it shows on the picture how the back graft works. The next slide is wedge and graft. I think this is the most common grafting and almost the easiest. Many people I have interacted with after training them like this, who said you try all this method, they normally recommend this wedge and graft. But again, it depends on the preference of different people, but mostly you find people want to have this. Now, with this one, what you need to know is that, of course, some people have come to me to ask about why should we paint and all that kind of thing. Some people don't paint the rootstock after grafting, but I know that it reduces stress on the plant when you paint. So the more stress you reduce on the plant, the higher the chances of of success. You need to maintain the temperature. You can put it in the shade net, or you can put in a greenhouse. You maintain the temperature. Sometimes some people would say you leave 1 or 2 leaves. I have personally not seen the advantage, but I've seen this in literature. I've tried both. They've given me the same results. You leave 1 or 2 leaves on the rootstock when you are grafting, or you remove all the rootstock, all the leaves on the rootstock. I have got similar results. Again, I am not doing an experiment at a personal level, but I've tried both methods and given me almost same results. So maybe when you try it out, when you read other literature, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to get the advantage. One advantage I read about the reason of leaving tree is that it will still be having photosynthesis going on, even at the time when it is healing on the graft union. Yeah. So there are all those things, literature that you get on grafting. Regraft, when the graft fails, sometimes you get 50% of success. So meaning that you have 100 seedlings, 100 out of 100, 50 will be successful. The other 50 may not be successful. Immediately, when they are not successful, you can regraft and still get the other 50 successful. Or maybe you can get half of that 50 again successful. Yeah, overall, you get 75% success rate. I have had a test of 5% to 94% success. And the reasons may not be very definite, but one of the reasons is the time of grafting. I have got the best grafting between July, August, and September. Yeah, that's a period I've obtained the best results on grafting. If you ask other people within Zambia, they'll tell you different. But personally, this is what I have got. But essentially, the more you do grafting, the better you become. We have a few people who have been doing grafting for a long time. They don't mind whichever time they do the grafting, they get reasonable results. You have to water daily, or maybe every after 1 day, but you have to observe that the grow bag is always moist. When you do the grafting, it is like a person is in the ICU. It needs a bit of tender care. So you want to give it a lot of attention. You want to ensure that you don't have dry, your grow bag is not dry. So you need to keep your roots wet all the time. But you should not also allow your roots to protrude outside the grow bag. This is a mistake that normally people make. When you grow your rootstock in the grow bag, avoid the roots to penetrate beyond the grow bag, because when you remove those plants and you put them elsewhere for grafting, you are stressing the plant twice. You are stressing the plant by reducing its ability to feed itself, but at the same time, you are cutting it, injuring it, and you want to heal, the plant to heal. Such kind of plants, they have a problem you have a problem to get a successful graft. So what you need to do is to ensure that the place where you put your grow bags is paved, so that even if the root penetrates outside the grow bag, it doesn't go into the ground. So that when you move the plants from there, for whatever reason, you want the plants to harden from the shade net, you want to put them outside to start hardening. When they have a successful graft, you are going to stress them again. You don't want that kind of continuous stress on the plant. Watch out for and manage the pests and diseases, because again, it is plants are very tender are very delicate at that point. You have seen that there are red rings I've put on the two the illustrations on the right. That just goes to show you that you must not leave that opening. When you cut the plant, when you cut the scions to put in the cleft, in the cleft of the rootstock, make sure that the cut part all disappears inside. If you leave it open like that, it will dry faster, and that would be one of the reasons why the graft may not be successful. Something that can go wrong in graft is that you have compatible species or delayed union and healthy rootstocks or scions. The scions may not be vigor, and also they could be tender or too dry or too old. Again, they may not be successful. Scions upside down. If you graft the plant upside down, it definitely cannot grow. Just like you plant cassava upside down, it cannot grow. Maybe sweet potato, maybe, but most of the plants that grow from stem, plant them upside down, they don't grow. So even the grafting, you must not graft upside down. Cambiums not aligned, definitely you cannot have a successful graft. Or dirty tools, we're also going to introduce diseases to the plant, and you are going to have a problem to deal with after graft diseases that come as a result of poor handling. When you have inadequate shade after grafting, again, you are introducing the plant to high trans evaporation, find that your scion will dry quicker before it joins with the rootstock, and it will dry up. The proper collection of scions, again, if you don't know how to collect scions, you can get in touch with Lusaka Avocado Cooperative. Will be able to recommend to you where you get the scions, and those people who sell the scions that are known by the cooperative would guide you which are good scions, which are bad scions. So they will help you to get good scions, and you can start learning there, pick it up from there. And when it's not fully covered, also have successful graft, and when the watering is inadequate, have successful grafting, and non-biodegradable tips. I have found non-degradable grafting materials that I use very cheap, but extremely expensive if you don't manage it properly. Because if the plastic or the bandage or the bonding material that you, not bonding material, but the covering material that you tie on on the graft union is not biodegradable, it means that when the scion starts shooting, you get about 4 leaves, 5 leaves, 6 leaves. Within a period of 3 months, you must remove that plastic. If you don't remove that plastic, that part where the plastic go. So you can imagine you are going to have something like this tree. That just in an illustration, this is what is going to happen. The part where you have your graft union will not grow. The rest of the part will grow. And as it grows big, it fall. Just drop and fall. And you lose the plant just like that. So you have to double job. Do the grafting after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, after the grafting is successful, to remove that a non-biodegradable plastic. But if you use a grafting tape that we buy, which is extremely recommended, but it comes at a cost, you don't have a problem, because after that period, it will just biodegrade itself and don't need to do the cutting. And some of the things that go wrong in grafting includes what we are seeing on the picture. That part where you graft is big, and with a little wind blowing, the plant will fall and you'll be able to use part of orchards. Disadvantage of grafting, we still have disadvantages of grafting. What I was looking at before is just what we know. We have also disadvantage that new varieties, we cannot get varieties for grafting. It requires a special skill. The skill has to be acquired, meaning that the more you graft, the better you become. If you graft 10 plants, you get 1 and 10, please don't get discouraged. You try again, you realize that as you do the grafting, you get the art, you perfect art, and you should be able to get 50%, 60%. In the Bubi district, if they can get 92% success rate, everything else can do it. Because it doesn't require to have a certificate of all you need to have basic knowledge and the skill of practicing for a long time. The lifespan of grafted tree is slightly lower than regional tree. Normally, avocado is around 50, but we can still rejuvenate the plant by regrafting. After 50 years, you pick up. The spread of diseases may occur if you are not careful with grafting, because when you are using that are contaminated,
sorry, engineer.
Yes, please.
Oh, that's better. You were sounding a bit far away, sir. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So you can spread the diseases using the contaminated tools that you use. Some plants are patented. Therefore, you need to get an authorization to graft, else it is illegal. I am told there is a Hass Maluma in South Africa, which is a very productive Hass. And I'm told it's patented and you need to get the authorization to do the grafting of that. I'm not sure about it. I haven't seen that, but I've just read so many literature about that. So in that case, then you need to get that authorization, without which you'll be doing it illegally. It's only possible for plants that are genetically close in relationship, and both must have the cambium layer that can easily be aligned. So perhaps these are little disadvantages that are there, but we also have commercial value of grafting, that you can completely change the cultivar. Today we are talking about Hass as a cultivar which is commanding the avocado market world over, but the taste may change. So you can change the whole field, like what you are seeing in that picture. You know, they have regrafted the old trees, and they will be able to get the variety they are looking for, befitting the taste of that time. Uniformity of production, you want, if you are going to have us as your product, you want to have, has produced from the farm, have that uniformity. Optimization of pollination is one of the things that happens. I just want to say a little bit about the pollination of avocado. Just to underscore why grafting comes in. In avocado, you have avocado, when the flower of an avocado is both male and female, but it opens at one time male and another time female. So the overlap between male and female, that's a time of pollination of these flowers. So if you have varieties that will open at the same time male, and the other one opens female, the chances of pollination becomes higher, and that way you get very good pollination. So you want to plant two different varieties, of course, in a particular ratio. If, for example, the cultivar you are looking for Hass, you are looking for Hass, you want to plant Hass, but you know Hass is a different pattern as compared to others. So it can pollinate itself when there's an overlap, which normally happens, but it won't be as perfect as if planted another avocado which opens female at the same time. At the same time. So you want to plant type A and type B together. But since you want Hass as a productive cultivar, you want to plant in the ratio 1 to 10, 1 to 4, 1 to 15. So in every 10 plants of Hass, you plant another variety so that you have good cross-pollination. That's a topic of another time, but I think it's important to know that you can increase the pollination by having two different cultivars planted together. But how would you know that this is type A, this is type B? It's when you go, sorry. It's when you are able to know that this is Hass, this is another variety that they can plant together, and you'll be able to graft them as such and plant them in a manner that increases pollination. So the other one is you are going for higher productivity, so you're going to get a scion for plant higher productivity, and also converting inferior quality plants to superior quality plants, your cells less susceptible to pests, reduce time of productivity, and also benefit from interstocking, and you can also repair the plant that is damaged with grafting. How to manage the graft? After grafting, shade, inspect the scion. If the scion is green, then the plant is still okay. If it wilts, regraft. Do not allow water to penetrate on the graft union. That's why we have to make it tight to ensure that it is waterproof. I don't know whether you can see properly that plant. That plant is grafted using a non-biodegradable plant. You can see very close to where the green part is. The bottom part is painted white. That is a rootstock. Just before you get to a point where there is a scion which has sprouted with so many leaves, there's a graft union. that graft union is non-biodegradable. That's why even after 3 months of grafting, this plant was, when I took a picture, it was 3 months old after grafting. It still has a graft union and it's still stuck there. So you need to get a sharp razor blade, cut off that plastic, and then relieve that plant to be able to grow uniform. So if you have a biodegradable grafting tape, that is not an issue. It will just fall off on its own within that period of time. Remove all the sprouting that comes below. Now, what is going to grow? If you graft a plant, you realize that before the compatibility sets in, you realize that the whole sprouting of the parent plant below the graft point, you need to continuously cut those because they'll be competing with the scion for food and everything and attention. Yeah, you realize that the plants that will, the sprouts that will grow below the graft will be growing faster. So you want to remove them so that you make the plant concentrate on the scion in terms of feeding the scion. You have to manage pests and diseases, of course. You remove the plastic cover when the scion is about 3 to 4 leaves or 5 leaves. This is where you are using improvised tape. Sometimes you can use fertilizer, foliar fertilizer, but it's best advised that you use organic manure when the plant is very tender. But if you can afford, you can use foliar fertilizer to be able to make the plant grow a little faster. Do not really remove the graft unions until 4 to 6 months. For 4 to 6 months is a little bit on the higher side. I think it's about 3 to 4 months. Sorry about that. About 3 to 4 months, you must put the graft for non-degradable grafting tape. If you use non-degradable grafting tapes. So perhaps this is where I want to end on the issue of the grafting. Again, what I said is that this presentation is extremely practical. I would like to pause here and share on the platform 2 minutes video on the grafting. Now, what you are going to see on that video, small video, is that I was using a non-biodegradable grafting tape. It may not be the best example because some of you can afford the biodegradable, grafting tape. Some of you may not afford. Some of you can want to do both. But I have a small video that I did personally using a grafting tape that is non-biodegradable. The principle is just the same, but the only difference is that the non-biodegradable grafting tape that you improvise, you have to cut it after some time. Then the biodegradable grafting tape falls off on its own. So I would like to end here with my presentation. You can browse through the rest of the presentation which we've shared with you, just to show you how to prepare the land. That's a topic for another day, but it's just another information that I wanted to show you. So I would want to open up, a moderator, I would like to open up my presentation to question and answer.
Yes,
especially after people have watched the small video that I'm sharing now.
yes, sir. We do have a few questions on the chat and also some questions on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
So the questions that are on the chat is.
Belinda, can I share the small video first of all?
Yes, sir. You can send it.
Just 1 minute.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
I have engineer has hung up so that he's able to share the video. I have shared the slides for today on the Telegraph channel. After the presentation, when I have access to my telephone, I will share with everybody else on WhatsApp. But those of you who have joined the training Telegram app, you'll have the access to the slides. In terms of the video that he's sharing now, feel free to watch and ask your questions in the chat. But I'm seeing that we have gone quite over our 1 hour training session. So I'll probably ask that he quickly goes through some of your questions. Yes, sir. Engineer Kanowa? Engineer Kanowa is, his phone says connecting. Can I have, oh yes, you've just joined us, sir.
Yes.
I was just saying,
Yes.
sir, that we have gone over the 1 hour timing slot, and that perhaps maybe they can watch the video and ask the questions on the video on the chat or directly to you, if that's okay with you. And then we can just ask the, sorry, sir, I can't hear you. You are very faint.
Yeah, it's okay with me.
Oh,
It's okay
thank
with
you.
me.
Thank you. So the questions that I have so far, for those of you who are on, Dr. Chimoga, do you have any questions? I'm just going to ask those that are on Zoom if you've got any questions. You feel free to unmute yourself, anybody.
Can I
Yes, sir.
make a comment?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
No, thank you very much, Engineer Kanowa. Very good presentation. Maybe just to reemphasize one point which you actually mentioned on the planting of the seeds. You did mention and pointed out clearly that one of the things that you would want to take care of as you are planting these seeds is the fungus, because normally the way we pick up these seeds from Soweto and everywhere, it can have an effect, to take care of fungicides, fungus, because fungus will normally eventually show itself once the plant is growing. So basically, I think one of the things that you may want to do is that when you get the seeds, with the coats the way they are, you may try to warm up some water into a big dish if you have got plenty. Then put a fungicide in there, copper-based, and wash the seeds before planting them. Put them in there 10 minutes, 15 minutes, then wash. As you are washing, you're actually removing the cover from the seeds themselves. Therefore, you can plant. So that's one way of taking care of the fungicide from the beginning. Thank you.
For those of you,
Thank you so much.
thank you, sir. For those of you who have just heard that, that was Engineer Mutimoshi, and he is the chair of ACUS and the vice chair of Lusaka Avocado Multipurpose Cooperative, and he's the owner of Bird Bridge Farm, where we are going to have a grafting session at some point. I think it is in May. So just to introduce, that was Engineer Mutimoshi. Over to you, Engineer Kanowa, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. No, that was a good contribution indeed, because we don't know exactly where these seeds are coming from. And even if we know, I think it's good to prevent and to cure. So with the fungus diseases, it starts treating it at the seed level when you are removing the seed coat. I appreciate that contribution, Engineer Mutimoshi.
Thank you, Engineer Kanowa. So one of the questions I have here is someone from YouTube. They've just asked where they can get the grafting tape from. Over to you, Engineer Kanowa.
Grafting tape you can get in many places. If you are in Lusaka, you can get the grafting tape from Farmers Barn. Farmers Barn is somewhere around town center. You can get Farmers Barn. You can get the grafting tape from Amiran. You can get it from livestock services. I think many outlets where you buy agro inputs, normally they would get the grafting tape. You can also go on the internet and just order directly from manufacturers. You just type grafting tape, find Alibaba. You can buy through Alibaba. Especially if you get larger quantities, you want to buy from just online.
Yes, I appreciate that. There's somebody on Zoom whose name is RC. Would you like to ask your question, Rose? You're on mute if you're talking. Okay, Rose is asking, how do we combine two good varieties to the rootstocks, e.g., one that is resistant to pests and diseases with one that produces good fruits? That's to you, Engineer Kanowa.
What is the question again?
How do you combine two varieties of to the rootstock? So I think she's asking whether you can combine two varieties. Yes.
Okay. Okay. You need to train your plant. By training your plant, you need to get it to have first of all two branches. The rootstock, you need to get your rootstock to have two branches, or maybe more than one branch at least, so that you can one branch you can graft the X variety, the other one you graft Y variety. Practically, what you can do, normally the rootstock will just grow like one shoot, going up. Even after 2 months, it will just be one shoot. So you want to cut it, stay 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters above the ground, and wait for it to shoot on the side. Then you have 2 branches or 3 branches. Then you graft those branches with the variety that you want to graft. Normally, that's what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Unless anyone from the platform would want to add, but normally that's one of the methods that you would use.
Okay.
Yeah, if just a quick one, Engineer Kanowa, that's absolutely great. The other method is that you'd get your rootstock, the way they are, plant them, even at 1 month in the ground already, 1 or 2. I've tried this. They'll give you faster branches, 2 or 3 branches, and then you graft on the ground with the varieties that you want.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh yes, yeah. Thank you, Engineer Multipurpose. That's from the practical side.
Yes, thank you so much.
I have a question also.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
What about during the rain season? How do you graft so that water does not get into the scion after you have grafted?
Is that question to Engineer Kanowa?
Yes.
Yes, I've got the question.
Yes, sir.
There are several methods that you can use. One of them is you put the plants in a place where, of course, you won't have rainfall. For example, in a greenhouse, you have a shed with a plastic roof, and you don't get water direct. But even when you have just a shade net would allow water inside. But if your plants are covered, the actual plants are covered, you will not get water getting to graft you. So these are perhaps that you can use to avoid water getting into the graft union. But also you can graft off the rain season. Yeah, so you do the timing, the time you plant your plants, so that by the time you are grafting off season. Like what I do myself, normally I time my planting so that I graft in July, August, and September. Yeah, and within that period, there's no rainfall. So there are these methods that you can use. Unless the platform has, again, another experience or knowledge, we can share.
A quick one again, you already mentioned one of the methods of extending the grafting tape all the way to the top of the scion and cover it without actually necessarily getting a plastic. And, the way you mentioned, again, you can use a plastic, you graft, then you get a plastic, you cover it and tie it, or you extend that grafting tape all the way from where you're grafting and all the way to the top, you cover the whole entire scion with that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But I think what is we have to underscore that it's important not to let the graft union be watered. Once you get that past wet, then the chances of successful graft is almost 0. So we need to avoid water getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Engineer Kanowa,
yes, moderator.
Have you shared the video onto the group?
Yes, I've shared on the Lusaka Avocado Cooperative
Okay, sir.
the video where I was grafting using a non-biodegradable grafting tape. And what I did on that is that I used a plastic just to tie on the graft union. Then I covered the top part of the scion with the plastic to reduce the evaporation, but also to ensure that water does not get to the graft union. That's why I put the plastic on top. But like what Mr. Engineer Mutibushi has mentioned, if you are using a grafting tape, you tie your grafting tape on the graft union and you continue tying it up the top of the scion and to reduce the evaporation, but to ensure that water doesn't get to the scion.
Yes, sir.
And definitely not to the graft union.
Thank you, sir. That was a question from Edgar Mono on the YouTube channel. On Zoom, we've got a question from Colin Mwanamwale. If you planted rootstocks directly into the soil in your orchard site, what can you do to ensure that the sun does not dehydrate the plant when you have grafted?
Okay. Yeah. Normally, you have to provide the shade. You can cut grass, put a small hut around the plant, cover the plant, so you reduce the direct sunlight from the side. So you still be able to get a graft percentage success rate.
Sorry,
so that's
sir.
one of the.
We can hardly hear you, sir. Sorry.
Hello?
Oh, yes. Now I can hear you,
Can you hear
sir.
me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so what I said is that one method you can use is that you have a plant which is planted into the ground, is 2-3 months old, 4 months old, and you want to graft. You do the grafting, and after finishing grafting, you cover the plant with some grass. Just provide any form of a shade to the plant, just to reduce the direct sunlight on the plant.
Thank you. So the question, yes, I hope that has answered your question, Mr. Colin. Does anybody else on Zoom like to come off mic and ask a question, please? Or to
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I didn't quite understand what chemical you use to wash the seeds.
Okay,
To use, yes.
May I have your name, sir?
I'm actually Dr. Chimoga. I know you know my wife, Irene Chimoga.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Timoga.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Engineer
Okay.
Kanowa, would you like to answer his question, please?
No, thanks, Dr. Chimoga, for coming on board and even asking that question. Normally, you use the fungicide. You use the fungicide.
Okay.
Water. You put warm water, slightly warm water, and you dip your seed into that water as you are washing it and also removing the seed coat. So it's
Okay.
What's the
see.
name of the fungicide, Dr. Engineer Kanowa? Is that the one that's brilliant or the other one?
Do you want me to help you, Engineer Kanowa?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Like he said, it's just basically a fungicide. There are two types of fungicides mainly. There's phosphate-based and there's copper-based fungicides. So mostly when you say copper-based, you find a lot of people doing chloride, oxychloride, whatever it is, copper oxychloride fungicide or phosphate. So you would have to go to the label and check which is whether it's phosphate or copper-based. Mainly, I think copper-based is the main one you start with, where a copper-based fungicide. There are plenty of them, but one which has got copper in there.
Where do you get them?
Oh, everywhere. Agri-focus, or the livestock, the one I mainly use for me, it's a blue one called, what the name has gone. I can post the thing. It's called Copper Plus. It's called Copper Plus. Copper Plus is a blue one. It's a fungus you can spray even as part of your fungicide schedule in your field. So you wash the seeds with that, and then you plant them.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Sir. We are coming to the end of our questions. We've got one more question at the bottom here from Mr. Edgar on YouTube. He says, how tight should the graft union be? Can you use a string to make the graft union tight? That Engineer Kanowa, would you like to answer that?
Yes, you can use a string. You can use a string to tie, but I think what is most important is that you need to seal the injured part, so to say, where you've cut. Yeah. So you want a media that will be able to cover all the exposed part of the either the scion or the rootstock. So when you use a string, the whole idea is to tighten, but then you need to cover it with a media that will not allow any a lot of transfer evaporation from the plant. You know, the back of the plant provides a controlled transfer evaporation. But if you cut a plant, it will just dry up completely, and the cambium layer will not bond. The cambium layer of the scion will not bond with the cambium layer of the rootstock, and therefore you need to cover it so that it doesn't lose a lot of moisture. So the idea of using the grafting tape is in two folds. One is to put the scion and the rootstock together, to tighten them together, but at the same time to cover the part that has cut, to avoid the exposed parts to dry up very quickly.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank you, Engineer Kanowa and Engineer Mutumushi, for the contribution. Thank you, everybody, for attending. As you are aware, they are both on the platform, WhatsApp channel. If you've got any questions, they'll gladly answer any questions that you have. And all the other members who are also experts at grafting will be able to assist with that as well. But as Engineer Kanowa has expressed, you have to use the correct materials and the correct advice. So the cooperative is there to support you. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your time. And we've had a lot of compliments about the presentation being easy to follow and very, very educative. So thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.